President has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case.
And sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
I only have
have
7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is horrible.
Aware of a?
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked at it.
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one has asked me to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a hypothetical.
The president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
has We're also worried about Liz Cheney, Senator.
The president has called for this.
You know what we should be worried about?
Ms. Bondi, please answer my questions.
California right now.
What we just witnessed was nothing short of alarming. In this Senate hearing, Pam Bondi, the nominee for Attorney General, was pressed hard on whether she could stand up to Donald Trump and defend the rule of law. When asked if she could tell Trump the simple truth, that he lost the 2020 election, she dodged. When pressed on whether she would preserve January 6 evidence, she danced around it. Tonight, we're breaking down why this matters, what's at stake for democracy, and why Democrats are right to demand answers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president could commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case.
And sitting here,
72%,
sitting here today.
Senator, 72% of Americans
Please, I only have 7 minutes.
lost faith
Sitting
in the
here-
Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that
anything that's
question?
brought to me.
You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
Sure, I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
sensitive information. So just tell us,
I'm
are you
sitting here as
aware,
a nominee.
just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news
Are
is
you aware
horrible.
of a?
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that
No,
question.
it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my questions.
California right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
my question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is
focused
this.
on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I
No,
won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any
to
ongoing
power.
investigation,
So let me ask you another.
like you did
let me-
leaking your
let me ask
colleague
you-
Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election, yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question. If you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in
No, I know you want to
Pennsylvania.
answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election, yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went
That's
as an
not my,
advocate
that's
to
not
the
my
campaign.
question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so you
Let me
look at-
finish. On a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good.
And I abhor violence to police officers.
Follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President, I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of
asked
course you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I would
is-
have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress,
also-
Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance.
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't
difficulty?
believe this is even.
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why do you
you're
have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I know that you are pleased that we are moving to the end of round one, and we appreciate your being here.
The Senate hearing featuring Pam Bondi, President Trump's nominee for Attorney General, was one of the most revealing and troubling confirmation exchanges in recent memory. At its core, the hearing was not about technical qualifications or resumes. It was about something far deeper, whether the Department of Justice can remain independent in an era where the Supreme Court has handed the presidency near monarchical powers. The case of Trump v. United States, where the court's conservative majority declared that presidents enjoy absolute immunity for core functions of their office, cast a dark shadow over the proceedings. Justice Sotomayor's warning that this new immunity lies around like a loaded weapon hung heavy in the hearing room. Senators recognized that weapon could be picked up on day one by Donald Trump. And so the questions for Pam Bondi were pointed. Will you stand between Trump and the corruption of justice? Will you preserve evidence? Will you refuse to weaponize the DOJ against Trump's political enemies? Will you tell Trump simple truths that he does not want to hear? Pam Bondi's answers, or more accurately, her evasions, spoke volumes. When Senator pressed her on Trump's public declaration that Special Counsel Jack Smith should be jailed, Bondi had an opportunity to make a clear, straightforward commitment. All she had to say was, no, the president's personal vendettas will not dictate DOJ investigations. Instead, she filibustered. She said she had not seen the file. She said she would look at the facts. But what the American people wanted to hear, and what democracy demands, is a categorical refusal to use prosecutorial power as a tool of revenge. Her inability to do so raises deep doubts about her independence. The same pattern repeated when asked about Liz Cheney. Trump has openly called for Cheney's prosecution, simply for speaking the truth about January 6 and opposing his lies. Bondi dodged again, claiming no one had asked her to investigate Cheney. But the reality is that the president has asked, publicly, clearly, and dangerously. Once more, she refused to deliver the necessary answer. No, there is no basis for that. This reluctance paints a chilling picture of how easily the DOJ could become an extension of Trump's personal war room. Equally disturbing was her response on the 2020 election. When asked whether she could simply acknowledge the fact Donald Trump lost, Bondi pivoted into partisan doublespeak. She claimed she would not play politics, but telling the truth about the election is not politics, it is reality. The refusal to state that Trump lost is not neutrality, it is complicity in his falsehoods. This is precisely the kind of weakness that erodes public trust in our institutions. If the Attorney General cannot say, on the record, that there was no massive fraud in 2020, then the entire DOJ becomes hostage to conspiracy theories. Then came the question of pardons. Trump has vowed mass pardons for January 6 rioters, including those who brutally attacked police officers. Asked whether she would advise against blanket pardons, Bondi again defaulted to bureaucratic hedging. She insisted she would look at the files and review case by case. But everyone in the room knew what was really being asked. Will you stop Trump from turning the pardon power into a license for insurrectionists? Her unwillingness to commit means the door is wide open for a mass absolution of violence. That is not justice. It is an endorsement of lawlessness. Perhaps most alarming of all was the question of evidence preservation. The January 6 investigation has generated mountains of critical evidence, documents, digital records, communications, and testimony that reveal the extent of Trump's effort to overturn the election. Asked whether she would commit not to destroy that evidence, Bondi dodged. She said only that she would follow the law. But the law is not always self-executing. Attorneys general are not passive actors. They set policy. A firm public commitment was needed to reassure the American people that this evidence would not be wiped away under Trump's orders. By refusing, she signaled a dangerous willingness to bend to political pressure. This is why Democrats pressed so hard. The Supreme Court's immunity decision has already removed many of the traditional checks on presidential misconduct. That makes the Attorney General's independence more important than ever. In this hearing, Bondi had the chance to demonstrate that independence. Instead, she revealed her hesitation, her unwillingness to break with Trump, and her instinct to hedge rather than to stand firm. The stakes cannot be overstated. If the Justice Department becomes a tool of vengeance, then the rule of law collapses. If investigations are opened or closed based on Trump's whims, democracy collapses. If evidence of January 6 is destroyed, history collapses. And if mass pardons are handed out to insurrectionists, accountability collapses. The Democratic senators were right to frame the hearing in stark terms. They were not asking theoretical questions. These were not hypotheticals. They were pressing Bondi on real, imminent dangers. Trump has already announced his intentions. He has already said who he wants jailed. He has already promised mass pardons. The loaded weapon Sotomayor warned of is not sitting idly. It is already in Trump's hands. Pam Bondi's failure to meet this moment proves why Democrats must keep raising their voices. They must insist that the Department of Justice remains independent. They must insist that the truth of 2020 be spoken clearly. They must insist that January 6 evidence be preserved, not erased. Because in the end, this is not just about one nominee. It is about whether America remains a nation of laws or slides into a nation of one man's will. What we saw in this hearing was chilling. An Attorney General nominee who could not say no to Trump. A nominee who could not affirm basic truths. A nominee who could not commit to protect evidence or resist political vendettas. That is why Democrats pressed so hard. And that is why the American people must pay attention. The survival of democratic accountability depends on it.